Welcome to Ideagen TV. Today, we're incredibly honored to have with us Mr. Nick Larigakis, President of the American Hellenic Institute. Nick, welcome.
Thank you, George. It's excellent to be here with you.
You know, Nick, we've had an opportunity over the years to see your incredible leadership. And really, what I admire about you personally and professionally is your leadership style. You have been steadfast for so many years. Ever since the day we met you, you have been, as Adriana, co-founder of Ideagen, says, consistent. And part of that is so incredibly important because you have focused on the rule of law and U.S. interests as it relates to the Mediterranean, of course, Greece and Cyprus, and through a U.S. prism, through the U.S. interests. And I think that right now, at this time, perhaps is one of the most important moments in this relationship, this Mediterranean impact, everything that's happening globally. And you sit right at the forefront of what leadership should look like to work within the system to hopefully change the system and bring about some good in terms of the foreign policy and the impact around it. So welcome to Ideagen TV. We're honored to have you with us. I know you have an incredible guest with you today that you'll be interviewing. So we're looking forward to that as we prepare for millions of people to watch this program in a few weeks and beyond. It'll be amazing to hear from you in this incredible interview. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you very much, George. Thank you. And thank you to Ideagen for this opportunity and to congratulate you and all your fine folks at Ideagen for this exceptional concept that you developed. And I've been honored to be part of it, as I was last year in Greece for the first inaugural event in Greece. And unfortunately, this year events did not allow for us to be alive and in person and to do this physically on the ground. But hopefully next year we will be able to be together once again and to continue the tradition of having this summit in Greece. But of course, in the meantime, as all of us have gotten to know and become experts at these various visual platforms, we can at least get the message out and continue with the business at hand. So once again, congratulations to you, Ideagen, your team. And it is a pleasure for me to be here today and to have the high honor to interview somebody I have the utmost respect for, and that's the former Minister of National Defense, Admiral Apostolakis, Evangelos Apostolakis. Mr. Minister, how are you? It's good to see you again.
Nick, thank you very much. Nice to hear you and nice to see you also. And thank you for this invitation.
It is my pleasure. And of course, our friends at Ideagen and George Safakis for this exceptional initiative that he's undertaken that helps to put the Eastern Mediterranean and the issues that it faces on the map. And no other person than to better explain some of the challenges that the region faces. And of course, Greece in particular. And we'll get that in a minute. But for those of you who are not familiar with Mr. Evangelos Apostolakis, he's had an exceptional military career in the defense of the Hellenic Armed Forces of Greece. Upon his entrance into the Naval Academy of 1976, he just had an absolute, as I said, a tremendous career in the Greek Navy and the Greek military. Not only was he the immediate former Minister of National Defense from January of 19 to July of 19 when the government changed, but he was also the chief of the Hellenic National Defense General Staff for a number of years, and he was also chief of the Hellenic Navy General Staff. So exceptionally, very keenly understanding regarding the defensive posture of the region. And let me just also add, as a former military high-ranking official, he's only one of two in the history of Greece to also become the Minister of Defense. The other one was a caretaker minister for only a month under the caretaker government of Prime Minister Vasiliki. So it's a pleasure, Mr. Minister, to have you here today. Let me preface with an opening comment, if I may, regarding the region and how it relates, of course, to the important aspect for U.S. interests. U.S. has an important interest in the Southeast Europe and the Eastern Mediterranean. With Greece's centuries of enduring presence, its close cultural, political, and economic ties to the Mediterranean countries, including Israel, Western Europe, the Balkans, Eastern Europe, and the Middle East, Greece is strategically situated in a vital region to be an ideal strategic partner for the U.S. Because also significant commerce and energy sources pass through the region. And Greece is also important for the projection of U.S. strategic interests by being home to the most important U.S. military facility in the Mediterranean Sea. That is, of course, NSA Suda Bay, Crete, where there are multiple military facilities, including the military installation of NATO Maritime Interdiction Operations Center and the NATO missile firing installation. And it is also, the island of Crete is also home to where Minister Apostolakis comes from. So, Mr. Minister, with that sort of background and the overall importance of the region, can you please tell for our audience some of the things that Greece is doing to support the strategic importance of the region, and in so doing, the importance of the overall Greece-U.S. military relationship, of which, in your capacity also, it's important to note, under the previous government, in your capacity as chief of the Hellenic National Defense General Staff, you visited Washington in December of 2018, where kicked off the very important strategic dialogue between Greece and the United States.
Nick, thank you very much for this invitation and for this very kind words for myself and for Greece. And I would like to notice that how important is Greece in the area is simply to realize and understand if you see just a map where the position of Greece is, and also if you read the story about how the Greek Navy for thousands of years is doing his job, guarding and securing the peace and stability in the area. What we are doing at the moment in the last years is trying to create our relationship and strengthen our relationship with our allies, who are the most important countries in the area. Plus, we have a great level of relationship with the United States at the moment. So we try on a peaceful way and following the international law and the conventions, who gives all the rights to Greece, to maintain the situation in a peaceful way and very effective and profitable for all the countries who are around. With the presence of the Turkish in the area and Erdogan himself, there is a mess in the area. There is someone who is not accepting, is not respecting the international law, and he is violating every day, many times, the international law and the curiosity of Greece in the sea and in the air also. The last year, with a deal between the Libya government, the GNA, the mess is getting more and more serious. Plus, the Turkish is threatening the Greece that he's going to start digging the continental shelf of Greece with Turkish ship, violating the international law and the UNCLOS rules, how the exclusive economic zone is designed. So we are on the way to try by peaceful ways. Plus, we have declared to everyone that we are not going to leave anyone to violate any more Greece in this way. So the situation is very critical. You know what the Turkish are doing in Libya. You know also the history about the Syria, in Iraq, in the country itself with the Kurds, and also everybody understood that the Erdogan at the moment, he's trying to achieve and having more benefits than the international law and the convention is giving to him. That's why he's not respecting nothing of that. Trying to put the European Union in the game and also the United States, we try to convince them that we need this support, politically and physical support. And we are on a very, very difficult position at the moment, waiting the next moves of the Erdogan.
Well, that's not necessarily a very good position to be in, although, of course, as Greece's defense posture is one that is able and capable to go up against a military power like Turkey. Obviously, that's not where we want to go. We want to be able to avert such military confrontations, especially amongst NATO members, where, and I use the word very, purposefully, you are an ally, they are a member of NATO, in my opinion. And again, for the benefit of our audience, just some statistics. In 2019 alone, ladies and gentlemen, there were at least 4,813 air violations of Greek territorial airspace. And that does include a number of other types of violations categorized under different other categories. But it was well over 7,000 approximately, and does not include, naval violations, which also went into the thousands as well, which every single day challenges Greece's territorial integrity, and of which Greece has to send up its airplanes and its naval ships to chase out and to shadow its neighbor and fellow NATO member. Over the course, you mentioned some of it, Mr. Minister, but over the course of especially the last 2 years, but even within just the last few months, there's been an incredible ratcheting up regarding Turkish violations. Not to mention just within Greece, but also obviously the exclusive economic zone of Cyprus, where a number of ships have been continuously visiting there, invoking the president of Cyprus, Mr. Anastasiadis, to call a second invasion. You've had at your border up in the Evros region in March, where Erdogan tried to push forth thousands of illegal refugees and migrants, and the Greek government stood up. And you've had the S-400s that they purchased, from Turkey, from Russia, just last week. They converted. They passed a decree to convert Saint Sophia into a mosque in a very provocative action. As you mentioned, the MOU, the illegal MOU with Libya, their printing of a map with 24 illegal plots in Greece's Aegean, where they claim they have the right to go and to dig for exploration. I guess, Mr. Minister, a couple of weeks ago, Dr. Thanos Dokos, which I had, was the alternate National Security Council advisor for the current government and prime minister. I asked him a particular question. I said, with all of this that's going on, in the United States, we have what's called a DEFCON condition. You know what I mean when I say DEFCON condition. Greece does not have that a barometer. But I said, if Greece had the barometer, what would that be right now? And he said from 4 to 3, which is extremely high for those of us who understand what the barometer means. So, Mr. Minister, how dangerous is the imminent threat by Turkey to Greece's territorial integrity? And what are your NATO allies? What is the European Union saying in terms of coming to Greece's support at this time regarding these actions by Turkey?
The histories and the last years following of the Turkish shows that everything they declare, they try to do. So I know, and everybody knows, that they will try to exploit this MOU with Libya in case of capitalize this convention by doing some actions. From the other side, the NATO allies and the NATO itself is not taking its responsibility to see and try to solve the problems between two partners of the NATO. Also, the European Union itself is supporting Greece, but only verbally. It says makes some declarations. It says some things that it's going to do, but not enough. So also the United States, considering the problems who are existing between the United States and the Turkey, and in the effort of the United States to hold the Turkish in the side of the West countries and close to the US, is leaving them the space to do actions and violations like this. So Greece is trying hardly to strengthen his relationship with the allies, especially with the United States, plus with Israel and Egypt. But not one of them is enough to hold the Turkish and to avoid or to delete or change the actions that they have in their mind. So the Greece itself has not other choice than to defend the country if they do any kind of action violating this space, the Greece continental zone. I believe that Greece has to be supported from all the international community, because Greece is very important. Is a country who is fighting for democracy and for stabilizing the peace and the security of the area. Plus is always probably the most reliable ally in the country for the United States. You saw now what happens with the Hagia Sophia, and the declaration and the decision from the Turkish government that the Hagia Sophia is going to become a mosque again. This is something, okay, that the Turkey could do because it's an eternal problem, but it shows that they don't respect the sensitivity and the feeling of all the Christians in the world. It is not only Greek-Turkish problem; it's a problem of all everywhere Christians and all the West countries. And probably it seems, and Erdogan is trying to show to everybody that he is not changing his decisions, even if all the international community will ask for that. So you can understand that the situation is extremely, I cannot say dangerous, but it's very, very critical, and needs to be very, very careful how we will manage the situation at the moment. The support from our allies, and especially from the European Union and the United States, is very, very important at the moment. They have at least to make some actions or to give to the Turkish clear directions or not advice. Somebody has to stop them.
Well, without the word appeasement comes to mind as it relates to Turkey regarding not just U.S. foreign policy, but also European and NATO policy for many years. Mr. Minister, in the past, there have been occasions where Greece and Turkey have almost come to a military conflict. Back in '64, over the potential invasion of Cyprus, where President Johnson sent a letter to the then president, I believe it was Inonu, and that stopped the situation back then. In '96, there was another tense situation over the islands of EMEA, where President Clinton was able to diffuse the tensions of which they came within just hours potentially of going to war. Greece and Turkey almost did. With everything that's going on in the United States today, in terms of our, civil unrest that we continue to see, and this whole social demographics that we see playing out in the streets of the United States, with an election coming up right now where our president here is fighting potentially for his political life, and there just doesn't seem to be any attention given to an area like the Eastern Mediterranean, other than, say, China or Russia. But as you said, it's an area, and I think we pointed out how critically important it is. Do you think anyone in Washington today is paying the kind of attention that they should be paying attention to? And let's don't forget, in '74, they weren't paying attention either. You had a President Nixon that that unfortunately, at that time with Watergate had to resign, and with everything going on with the collapse of the government in Greece, and under that sort of smokescreen, Turkey found the opportunity to invade Cyprus. Well, I submit that history repeats itself, and we have the potential for all those things to align again. How concerned are you that if, in the past, like I said, the United States could come, a president could make a phone call, and things would cease and desist? Do you feel at all any confidence in the U.S. today being able to play that role?
Unfortunately, no, I'm not so optimistic on that. And I don't know what is going to happen in the United States and how the political situation is going to be after the elections. But there is a very, very critical time, as you said, as you mentioned, between now and the United States elections. At the moment, there is a contact between the ministers of the government of Greece and Mr. Pompeo and probably Mr. Esther, but it's not enough to avoid or to prevent something bad to be happening in this area. And another good is that there are not also channels of communication between the Greek government and the Turkish government, or not in military, not in the political way also. So the situation is because of these reasons getting more critical at the moment, and I believe that it's going to be extremely difficult to manipulate the situation if we start to be face to face with the military forces. This is something that we have to avoid on one or the other way. This doesn't mean that we are going to negotiate on losing some of our curiosity because we try to avoid the war. But everybody understood that no one wants the war in the area, even the Turkish. It's not good for nobody. It's something we have to avoid. But what they believe that if they continue to force us by the threat of the war, we are going to negotiate. I don't believe that this is the good way. At the moment, there are some innovations from the European Union. Some discussions are going to happen between the Greek and the Turkish government. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not so optimistic about the results of this discussion. But anyway, any kind of effort in this direction to avoid the escalation and to avoid to militarize this problem is welcome.
Well, no, I couldn't agree with you more. But that means also statements that come out of Washington that are more pronounced, a little bit more hardcore and open and public regarding, what the illegal actions of Turkey, and not comments only of the kind that we hear that are, quote, these actions are not helpful. And we can't just say these actions aren't helpful. We also need to start talking about how these actions are also illegal as well. In a few minutes we got left, Mr. Minister, just a couple more questions. Negotiations, you say, between Greece and Turkey. And please clarify for us. My understanding is, in all the visits that I've met with Greek government officials over the years, is that Greece obviously will not negotiate what is perceived to be its sovereign rights under international law, except, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there is room for negotiation regarding the continental shelf, and also, I guess, if you ever got to that, the EEZ, between whatever EEZ would exist between Greece and Turkey. Those are the only 2 points that Greece would come to and negotiate, correct?
Yes, because the other points that the Turkish wants to put in the table are things that we are not accepted. The demilitarization of the islands, the limits and the borders of the Greece, which islands belongs to Greece and which to Turkey. This is something very, very clear. There are a lot of subjects and a lot of declarations of the Turkish government who wants to be discussed, but it's nothing to discuss. We are going to discuss only for the Greek continental shelf and the EOZ for the area of Aegean and the East Mediterranean. But please let me notice something related with what we have discussed before. The Turkish at the moment, the behavior of the Turkish is something that is threatening all the area. Is threatening the Africa to be destabilizing. Is threatening the European Union also in destabilizing. You know, also the East Mediterranean is a mess. It cannot be accepted by the international community the behavior of a country like this, trying to join the European Union, try to be good ally with the United States, try to stay in the NATO allies, and declare everywhere that they are working for the right, for the democracy, and for the good and stability of the people in the area. This is unacceptable. This is something that everybody has to understand. They have to be forced from the international community to change their behavior. Is not acceptable anymore.
Yeah, Mr. Minister, you opened up now another can of worms regarding the so-called blue homeland doctrine of Mr. Erdogan, of which he's trying to achieve hegemony not only over the entire Eastern Mediterranean, but Northern Africa and other parts of Africa as well. But a quick question on that. We understand also that a lot of the stuff that Turkey does over the years, and especially Mr. Erdogan, is for domestic political consumption, regarding playing to his radical Islamic extreme base. And he's also extended himself. His economy is very weak. He just had to get into a deal with the Chinese regarding currency swaps to try to keep him a solvent as much as possible. And it's just tremendously bad economic situation in Turkey. And he's extended himself so much. Is he really capable of doing some of the things that he threatens to do? Or is this really rhetoric as we've seen in the past? Or is this time, he will do that, what he says, as his ambassador in Cyprus, in Athens said he would, and his foreign minister said he would?
If the allies and our friends in the area will continue to accept him and to give him space, yes, he will. Yes, he is able, because he is giving all his power he is available on making reality what he is declaring. His economy, okay, he has a problem, but he has a full support from his friends, right, from Qatar, from
mostly Qatar, I would say, though.
Of course, mostly from Qatar. Sometimes from Europe, from the United States. Also, there are some loud-speaking people in the United States in Congress who are seeking the dangers of this kind of behavior from the Turkish. We know very well, as Mr. Menendez and the others. This is giving a kind of optimism on be convinced all the international community plus the United States that they have to do something. If you want to hold the peace in the area and you declare that you are the one who helps on this direction, you have to do something. Not just declaration, just words are not enough.
I couldn't agree with you more. Last question, Mr. Minister. I want to turn it basically to a positive note regarding Greece's role vis-a-vis specifically the United States, which is what our fundamental issue is. We have always said that the American Hellenic Institute, Greece, Cyprus, and the relationship with Israel that's now institutional are really the pillars of stability and for the projection of peace and stability in the Eastern Mediterranean. I do believe that this ultimately will carry us through. And of course, Egypt has a major role to play in this, France and other European countries. But in the region, it's those three countries, and I would argue also Egypt as well. Just tell us in the few minutes we have left, what exactly is Greece doing today to assist U.S. interest? If you can give us just some specific examples of the importance of Greece to the United States today.
First of all, you mentioned it before. We have the naval base of Suda. We have the last MOU and the last agreement we signed with the United States, who provides a lot of facilities in Greece and a lot of cooperation in the military way, who are very, very important. Plus, we are a country in the area who has deeply democratic governments and supports the United States in all the what is asking in the area. Plus, we have a very, very good relationship with Israel, who is also very important for the United States. And we are the ones who try to have good relationship with everybody, even with the Turkey. So we are someone who is supporting the United States interest in the area. You see now that the agreements and the cooperation between the Greece and NATO, Greece and Egypt and Cyprus, Greece and Cyprus and Israel is always is alive, and we are doing our best to strengthen this relationship, who are also in the vision and in the positive acceptance from the United States too. We have a very, very good happening with the East Med, where the Greece, Israel, Egypt, and also the United States signs and support this project. This means that the United States wants this kind of agreements and cooperations. So Greece, I think, is doing more and more than he can do, and he is accepting to at least to be supported politically and in this very critical situation, probably military also.
Well, Mr. Minister, on that note, we will have come to the conclusion of our program. I only wish you, the country of Greece and its people, continued good success, good health during this coronavirus epidemic. Hopefully, it will never come to pass in terms of any military conflict of escalation. It's not only important for you, but for the interest of the entire world, NATO and U.S. interest. You are a pillar of stability, as Ambassador Jeffrey Pyatt and others continue to say regarding Greece. You are a country that abides by international law, and you are a country that has been always on the side of U.S. interest for the better part of the last 125 years. You are the country that one of only few that spends over 2% of GDP on NATO expenditure. You take your agreements very seriously. You take your military defense cooperation very seriously, and you don't do it for a quid pro quo. You do it because what isn't right within the alliance of democracy, principles of democracy and the rule of law. So we congratulate you, and we wish you continued good success. And on behalf of Ideagen TV, we certainly appreciate this opportunity to speak with you today and for your very valuable insight as to the Eastern Mediterranean and some of the issues facing the region there today. Thank you once again, Mr. Minister.
Thank you, Nikos, and thank you for this opportunity to say some things. And I would like to catch this opportunity because you mentioned the Ambassador Payat, that this guy is doing a great job here in Greece. He's promoting all the in the best way what we want from the United States. He never stops, and we had and he continued to have great cooperation in our jobs. So thank you very much. I have to congratulate you for this the way and this effort to let everybody know what is happening here and what is going in the East Mediterranean Greece. And thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you,
Congratulations.
Mr. Minister. Na se καλά.
Γεια σου, Νίκο. Ευχαριστώ πολύ.